Welcome to the Crush It in Sales podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. This podcast focuses on the intersection of sales, leadership, and personal development. Now let's get ready to dig in and crush it. Welcome, everyone. Thank you in advance for listening. I'm going to talk about two things today. Number one, I want to give an update because it's been super fun so far to work on the chapter that Ryan and I are co-authoring for the fourth annual international best-selling book series called Brilliant Breakthroughs for Small Businesses. One of the things that Maggie encourages is for us to have interviews as part of the book series. We can obviously always learn from interviews. It provides great content and helps, just bring the reader in a little more. So I had my first interview last week with John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire, Podcaster's Paradise. If you don't know who JLD is, definitely check him out. He is one of the, I'm going to say, pioneers to really grow the podcasting space. He started it when not that people were doing it. I don't want to say they weren't. Obviously they were, but not that many. And he really created a whole community around it called Podcaster's Paradise. And that's how Ryan and I got started in podcasting. So I thought it would be really cool to have JLD, that's John Lee Dumas for short, be interviewed as someone who really helped us build our confidence in terms of us getting started in podcasting. And there's a lot to unpack in that so I'm not going to go into all of that in this podcast because that's more for the book. But I wanted to share this quote from John because we had an amazing conversation, just so much fire in that. It was really great. And I asked him what he thinks are some of the biggest mistakes that people make. And I'm just going to read because I have this lovely podcast transcription from Podscribe. And if you are a podcaster or just need something transcribed, Podscribe is an amazing service. I'm not an affiliate. This is just truly off the top of my head. I want to give them a little plug. Peter Bersinger is amazing, and it's a great service. So anyhow, I was able to get the interview transcribed right away so I could start digesting it and processing it. And I want to read this quote. So this is what John had to say. I think the biggest mistake people make when it comes to confidence is that they think they are either going to be born with it. They think they're going to start at day one or it's never going to happen. But that's just not how confidence has grown. Confidence is grown in and you gain it by actually doing the things, by putting in the reps, by getting up every single day and doing the work towards getting better at what you're doing. And there's nobody in this world who's ever been great at something who didn't start being a disaster. Perfect. So let's start out our day with thinking about confidence, thinking about how you can build upon what you're doing. Start small, put in the reps, and every day try to get 10% better. I've talked about that before, and I've probably talked about it before as well on my other podcast, The Good Karma Success Coach, because that's what happens. You have to put in the reps and take the time and keep doing it so you can get better and better. The other thing I want to talk about in this podcast, because it's laying heavy on my heart, and I think it's just been out there with some leaders for years and years and years, and I don't know whoever said that doing things like this was a great idea, because the more and more sales reps I talk to over the years, or people that I work with, or even see things myself, it is certainly not a great thing to do. And it goes in the bucket of, are you motivating your team or are you not motivating your team? What is not motivational? And what I see often in sales is that someone will send out an email, for example, and they will be praising someone else's sales, someone else on the team. They'll be praising them. And they don't ever call out that maybe that person's season is right now, or in this case, in this example I'm thinking of, maybe that person's territory isn't so drastically affected by COVID or protesting, which is still going on, people. It's still affecting a lot of cities. And maybe I'm not saying that that person's not a good sales rep, But maybe there's just different ways that you can celebrate everyone on the team. But you know what? That takes time and some thought, and a lot of leaders don't want to put in the time or they don't think about it. And that's where the challenge is. How do you, as a leader, start to think about everyone on your team and how you can celebrate more successes than just that one person? And if you don't think that people see through that, please stop and think about it. Especially now, more and more people are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. It's actually so refreshing. I'm actually really excited about that, especially with lots of other things that are going on right now with an upcoming election, that people are really starting to see through a lot. So people are starting to really process different things that are being said or written and going, this doesn't really make sense. And in this case, it is that this person's territory is not drastically affected by COVID, and it's more their season for business to be successful. If you're a sales rep and you're experiencing this and it's bothering you, it's triggering you, because that's the problem. And that's a problem that leaders don't see, is that often what they're writing or saying is a trigger for someone. And that trigger makes that person shut down. It's not motivating them to go out there and crush it. It's making them shut down. And it's definitely leading to a lack of respect for leadership. So if you're that salesperson on that end and you're on the receiving end and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that person just got, praised, and, what about me? I'm working so hard and I have more challenges, but I'm working through it. Every day I get up and I'm doing what I should be doing. You really have to start to see through it. Take a moment, pause, and just try to put that protective bubble around you. I mean, it's so important to have a protective bubble of like, you know what? I'm not going to let this person and their naivety and what communication they're sending affect me. And I've said this before, move the email. Move the email, save the voicemail, but don't listen to it again. Move the email into another folder in your Outlook. Create another folder, call it something positive, and just move it in there. So you're always just feeling positive about what you're working towards. And you don't let that leader affect you. It is really important to do this, you guys. It is really important, and not make it a complain fest within your rep friends, because I'm sure everyone is probably noticing the same thing, or a majority of people are. And that doesn't help. So don't get into that drama, but just move it away. Just acknowledge it, nod your head, go, okay, I see through this, and move it away, and just keep doing what you can do. And maybe find a way to celebrate your own success. So if you don't have leadership that is celebrating individual successes, and everyone has so many challenges right now, then just find a way to celebrate it on your own and just keep going. So I hope this podcast helps you. It's definitely a challenge out there. A lot of businesses are doing great, and that is fantastic. And a lot of businesses are still struggling. It's just a mixed bag. And you know what, you guys? It's going to be a mixed bag. It's just going to be. So you just have to do what you can do. And if you're someone who's independent, look for other things to add into your life. Look for other things that you can sell. Look for other ways to grow and flourish, or even just to be happy. Even just, whether it's taking some time off, going on a vacation, or working on your own personal development or mindset. All those things are really important and things that you should be working on, but a lot of people don't, because we all get caught up in the everyday rat race of sales and business and hustling. So now is the time to carve that out. You know what? If you took an hour every morning to spend some time on yourself, like I go for my walk and then I meditate, no one's dying out there. I'm not a doctor. So everyone's emails still get answered. Everyone's phone calls still get returned. And those are things that you have to just remind yourself that everything will be okay. Take some time for yourself and get your mindset right. and your headset right, so then you can crush it in sales. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, please share it with a friend, family member, or coworker. I love to hear from you. My email is melinda@melindavanfleet.com. You can find me also on LinkedIn or Instagram. It's Melinda_Van And also, I would love a rating and review on Apple. I love to read those. I think it's awesome. You can subscribe to my newsletter through my other website, thegoodkarmasuccesscoach.com, and listen to that podcast as well. Phew, so that's a lot. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great week.